Welcome to the Tourism Hub podcast, a podcast devoted to you and your excellence, providing inspiration and education for the entrepreneurs, experience makers, and excellence seekers of our industry to take your tourism business and career to a whole new level. And I am your host, Despina Karatius.
Relax.
Hello and welcome everybody. Good morning, good evening, and welcome to you all on another episode of the Tourism Hub podcast. Now, as you can imagine, I am excited for what is about to unfold on today's episode. So, Your Excellencies, I'm thrilled to have you here with me today. And for everybody that has pinged me, messaged me, sent me an email to let me know that you're enjoying these conversations that are happening on the podcast, I salute you and I am so grateful to you. It just has meant the world to me over the last week and I really, really appreciate it. Now, while you're there, if you can subscribe and leave a little review for everybody that has heard me go on and on about the benefits and the different ways we can build our online reputation. It all counts, all those pebbles in the pond that can, the ripple effect of your reviews on the Tourism Hub podcast is also something that would mean the absolute world. And now it's a great honor to have you on the show today. It's also a great honor to introduce our next guest. Her name is Sharin Jamali, and she is also known as, and this is how I first met Sharin, she's known as the Melbourne fashion blogger. So very Melbourne, very tourism, very event, fashion, and all of these things all connect together. So it's a great honor to have an Instagrammer on the show today to really help us learn some more about working and collaborating on Instagram. But before I introduce Sharin, let me tell you a little bit about her. She was born in Iran, and very similar to myself, her family migrated to Australia when she was 9 years old. Now, fun fact, something we didn't know about each other is that I had a similar story, but that I arrived when I was 9 too. So not knowing anything about Australia, including the English language, Sharin went on to uni, but she not only studied and graduated in biomedical science, she also studied and graduated a Bachelor of Pharmacy, which she nailed and smashed, and was a graduate in both of those. She's fallen in love with compounding of medications and specialized in skincare, which she also makes. So her first range that she launched a few years ago sold extremely well, not only locally but internationally. As a fashion blogger, she has the privilege to work with many amazing companies with national and international brands as well. So above all, though, she is also a loving wife to her wonderful husband and the technical support in her household, which we've recently found, Hugh, and a mum to the gorgeous little boy named Cyrus. Without further ado, welcome Sharin Akka, Melbourne fashion blogger. Yay!
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you for saying yes.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. It is my pleasure to have you and to get to know you over the last little while. We first met, of course, you've been a proud ambassador of someone that's very close to me, with Maria Eulis at Artilia Jewelry. And it's just been lovely to see your journey and her journey, and the growth and this beautiful relationship that you had. So when it came time to just talk about this topic, there's only one person that I can think of, and that's you, to explore this topic of influence and using the platform of Instagram to be able to do that. So, in terms of Instagram, and for anyone that wants to hear that story, you could go on and look at the episode that I had with Maria a few episodes ago. But to talk about your journey, Sharin, and how you started on the platform and how you planted the seed, how the whole concept of Melbourne fashion blogger came to mind, and you knew that Instagram was the platform for you.
Well, it's quite a bit of a story actually. I started working as a pharmacist, as a compounding pharmacist, and really devoted my life to it. And I fell pregnant and went on maternity leave. And after I gave birth to Cyrus, I said, well, this is the time, if I've ever wanted to do anything to do with fashion, or my other passion, which is fashion, and see where that would take me. I guess now is the time. It also helped me lose the post-pregnancy weight, I think. So I started blogging just based on the things that I loved, and what I call day fashion, night fashion, and really got into it. And before I knew it, I found an audience of people who really resonated with me, and it wasn't too long before it kind of took off, and so that's where it started. But it's given me the opportunity to collaborate with amazing companies and people, not only in Melbourne but internationally as well. But who would have known that this little dream of mine, that me having some alone time or wanting to reach something new, has actually taken off. So that's where it started. It started at home on maternity leave.
Oh, I love it, and really key things that come to mind, really. And as you were speaking then, the fact that you niched, like you have a specific niche. It's not only Melbourne, it's fashion and your blogging. So I think that you were able to achieve success quickly because you really nailed it, even in just the Instagram name that you went for. And we talk a lot on the show about passion projects and fulfilling and pursuing that. Now, with that, you're a pharmacist by trade, but not just a pharmacist, a compounding pharmacist. So this is when you get a special script. Now, I've been there before, and I'd shared with you. A lot of people know with my funky stomach infection, and I needed to go and get all of these different range. So it's quite a next level of of ability. You have your skincare range as well, as actively being engaged in Melbourne fashion blogger. How has having started a side hustle and pursuing your Instagram account and reaching a wide international audience, how has that helped your business ventures in your pharmacy and skincare launches over the years?
It's actually been overwhelming and different. As a pharmacist, I guess, even with our company, we're known as, pharmacists have, I guess there's a stigma about pharmacists, where you're in a white jacket and you stand behind a counter and you dispense drugs for a living. And that's, I think, the majority of people, I guess, perceive people as pharmacists as doing that type of role. When I started doing blogging, I started being very honest and vocal about the fact that I am a proud pharmacist, but also that I love skincare and I love fashion. So I was so lucky to be able to actually collaborate with a lot of dermatological or dermatologists and dermatological companies, and actually share my passion with them. And through Instagram and through social media, I've actually been able to collaborate with them, and with future projects, be able to actually work with them in creating different ranges for them. So it's really been combined together. And it wasn't up until quite recently that my company, Bloom's the Chemist, actually, they didn't know that I did blogging, and I love fashion, and this is my side hustle. And they soon started to find out, because a few customers came into our pharmacy recognizing me. So, well, I couldn't hide for much longer, and as a result, they, they've been so supportive, and they've been so excited that, we're breaking that, I guess, that perception in people that pharmacists are, are just doing that one thing, and that this, I guess, opens up the avenue for young girls and women in, who are your viewers and people who get to watch me on a daily basis, that you're not really, you shouldn't be attached to the one name, or you can be a mom and do anything you want. You can be a, blogger and yet have, an education that, supports your life, and so on. So it's been amazing. And, I think together, I never thought that the two would go together, but it really has. So it's been a blessing.
It's universal, and I love so much of what you've shared. One as an inspiration, because when you kind of drop the mic that you're also a pharmacist and you own a pharmacy, if you can recall that time you first told me that, I was just like, oh, yeah, because I love stories like that. I've only known you, like, I've known that you're a devoted mum and that you have this incredible Instagram account, but then there's this whole other world that you're entrepreneurial, you've got a scientific background, and you're launching. And I love that, in the sense that, particularly in today's climate, we have to diversify, not only if we're speaking with our businesses and to the tourism businesses specifically that now don't have an international market at the moment. So we're talking about diversifying our marketing and our markets. But what I am also trying to encourage people to think about, and something we've got examples of someone like Nayaz that we had an episode with, diversifying your skill and your, different projects that you work on. And I love that you shared that. You kind of like, it didn't make sense or how these would come together, but it makes sense because it's all these things you're passionate about. So there's no way that they can't make sense together, because the thing that's uniting them is the love you have for these things that you do. And I hope this will inspire, not I hope, I know it will inspire many that have got a side hustle idea or a passion project, and more than that, your personal brand, that what do you represent, that this has come out. So how important do you think in today's climate for people to pursue side hustles, even though they've got the double degree or they've committed their life to the study, to that job that they're going for? What would you say to that? Like,
I think that I would say, obviously it's not always glamorous. It's very hard, but it can be done. I started this whole thing when I just given birth. So a new mom, everything new to me. And yes, majority of people will say, well, you may have been a stay-at-home mom and you did this, while you had all the time in the world, but no, I didn't. I worked, I still work, 30 to 40 hours a week as a pharmacist, and I do everything that I do afterwards, which is blogging, fashion, skincare, collaborations outside of those hours of being a mom. So I do it, I guess my husband calls it the 7-Eleven job, which is, I start my other side hustle at 7 p.m. and finish at 11, and I get everything done. So the next day I'm ready for the day, but yet I've got, I've done everything I could for my brand, for my passion, and also for my career. Owning a new business, especially a new pharmacy, it's been probably one of the hardest things I've done in my entire life. But the fact that I love what I do is, I think, the most important, and really lays that foundation of how you will go in the future, knowing that if you love what you do, you will be great at it no matter what. There'll be obstacles, there's days where you're sick or you really can't do it, but as long as there's that love and passion for it, there's no way that you wouldn't be able to get to where you want. And it's hard, you sometimes put in so much hours and so much work, and you see nothing for a couple of months, and then all of a sudden it all almost like it's like a puzzle that it just comes together. So it's about not giving up and working very hard. It's not easy. I'm not always in makeup and hair and glammed up, but when I get a chance to do it, these are, I guess, my little rewards for it, for the hard work that I put into it.
oh, So I love this from Hugh, from your husband. It's a 7-Eleven type job, and that is the reality. That although I mean you've got such a beautiful Instagram page, and you are absolutely gorgeous, but I love that you shared. Like that's only a small percentage of what you do in your day, but it's also making that commitment, and it's not easy. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it, and to show that with the with the shine comes a lot of sweat in the background, and that's a really important point that you've just shared with us, that you want to do this, be prepared to put in the work.
And
That
if you
speak
do, it will pay
Yes.
off.
Yes, yes, and it will pay off, as we've seen with all of your work that you're doing. You launched your new pharmacy. Now it's been a difficult year. When you're speaking about your challenging times, and this is one of the greatest, this is one of the most challenging things that you've been able to do, in terms of how you're able to come through the challenges with this incredible mindset that you have. When you get into those moments of like, okay, this is getting hard, or like what, when you're questioning yourself, what is it that you are able to draw on to get you through to the other side, when any self-doubt of pursuing this, any one of the paths that you've taken?
Yeah. Well, this is a heavy question. I guess, we connect on this really well, that, we came here. I mean, I came here when I was quite young, but I remember the sacrifices that my family took to get me to where I am today. So on days where I'm like, I've worked literally 16 hours, and I've had the most stressful day, I would think, exaggerating, but of my life. And I am, in the car, nagging and crying to my husband as I'm driving home. I just think this is a blessing. This is what I dreamt of. Like, how I almost feel guilty,
Yes.
complaining because of the background of how we managed to come to Australia and have this type of opportunities that a lot of young girls in Middle Eastern background would not be able to have, being in the Middle East today. So this is the strength I pull on, and the love of my family, and the reason why I do it. I do this whole thing for. I'm doing it, for my son's future. I'm doing it for, my family, for my husband and I, and I do it to make my parents proud, that, everything that they sacrificed, they can see it and be proud, that, I did it, that I'm doing it, and I'm not going to give up. So that's what I draw.
Oh, I love that so much, what you've just shared. So, because when you consider the challenge as a blessing and you tap into being grateful, nothing can kind of sway you away from that. So, in all anything fear based, once you tap into what you appreciate about the situation, everything like that can disappear. That is so good. Thank you for sharing that, because it's true. When you're grateful, you're getting emotional, because it's true. Oh, I feel every part of that, because it's when, yeah, when you think
It
about
ruined
what.
my makeup,
No, I'm
Lucy.
sorry, I'm sorry. Look, I think it's important, and that is, if you can think about, yeah, the sacrifices are real, but thinking about our ancestors, or thinking about the climate of the world, of where our home countries are, or what our family, even our extended family. I do. The first time I went back to live in the family home where we were raised with my sister, I called my parents and was like, I want to come home and kiss your feet for the sacrifices you've made and the decisions you've made, because now not only me, but my children have so many more choices in life. So
The freedom. So
oh,
it's it's a gift.
it's a gift. It's a gift.
Yeah.
Just like this time together, I feel is such a gift. Thank you. It's really important that if we go back to this work that you're doing, and this whole word, the word of influencer, because you're seeing like there's it's something, it's a word that we didn't we didn't have a vocabulary around creating influence through your passions in mediums like this in the past. Now, with you being able to align these deep-seated values that you have in your day-to-day work that you can see intrinsically are who you are, whether it's any project or initiative that you're taking on personally or professionally, aligning values to be able to use your platform as a medium to influence for good. What are some things that have stood out for you as best practice for other businesses to take some notes on? Because something that I think when we're talking about social media marketing or digital marketing, influencer marketing for businesses or brands or products also has its own place on the shelf. It is a separate strategy to approach. So I wanted to reach out and kind of tap into your brain trust around some best practice to collaborate if anybody's, whether it's for yourself or anyone else that is aligned in that way, that you could share with us.
I think speaking on myself and my page and brand would be that you need to, if you want to collaborate, you need to collaborate with a brand or a company that resonates with you as a person, not just your brand. You need to reach out to people where you have either you have an aligned passion or you have an aligned idea of some sort. You shouldn't bombard DMs of people with, because of the number of followers or what you wish you want to do. You need to start establishing yourself so that, if perchance someone with a, following over 50 million followers decide to actually, press on that DM and see what you're offering as a person or as a brand, that they go on your page and say, yeah, okay, it makes sense. Rather than just, having a generic, I guess, paragraph that you send to 50 different influencers and hope that one will return. It doesn't work like that. Initially, I guess when I first started, I wanted to collaborate with the big names in fashion. And I soon realized that nobody knows who I am. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who want to collaborate with bigger names and bigger influencers in the, not only just the social media platform, but in the fashion industry, I guess. And what makes me any different? And I just realized, it's me. I'm different because of my background, or I wasn't born here. I can speak a different language, and I can open that platform up to, to other or new people who want to do this, and then I can show the company that I'm interested in that, look, I'm diverse, and with diversity comes, new followers and new people who may resonate with a brand that they otherwise wouldn't have in the past. So I'm always very conscious with who I reach out to, and even when they reach out to me, whether I accept or not. It's not just, I will accept any collaboration or any offer. I only, and I'm quite, selective, I guess. I don't do a lot of collaborations. I only collaborate with the brands that I think my online family would appreciate and accept, and also it would resonate 100% with me as a person. That would be the advice I would give is, be true to who you are, and because there's only one of you out there, and there's a gazillion different brands that, are the same, but there's only one of you. So, and that's what will make you shine.
So good, because that you nailed it there. And I guess as part of the don'ts is approaching influencer marketing with a business mindset, that when it comes to collaborating, and like anything in any business, the importance of building relationships, that you approach this from a you're connecting with a person. So it's a people to people collaboration, not as a brand. And I think for those of you that might be listening, what I've taken away, because I found it, and maybe because it's a mishmash and I've just got my name out there, but I love what you've shared, owning what makes you unique rather than there's something else that's come up with different real leading people in our industry and beyond, is this whole concept of imposter syndrome, that you're looking at, particularly on a platform like Instagram, where you could see, oh, I want to be like her, but in the end that will never work, because you're not her or you're not him, you are you. So I like embrace of what makes you unique, as you have all of this rich background and experience and all your diversity in the things that you do. Some examples of like no-nos. So you've touched on like the cut and paste, trying to reach out to everyone direct, with the same message and not customizing it and taking the time to research. Would you say that's a big don't? And what are your thoughts on these automated little messages that you receive sometimes on Instagram? What are some things that really like you make you cringe and you think, I wish they really thought about this?
I think the first one, and I'm sure a lot of people will get this, is it's an automated message. They don't even know your name, or they don't even mention your name. They just send. Or you just say, companies that approach you and say, DM us, we would like to work with you. They're the big no-nos. They're not the ones that are genuine. Have an email address that's yours on your page, or have a website or an email address that they, serious companies will, reach out to you that way. And you will get the odd really good offers through your DM, but that's when it's a personal message from someone from a company, and you can actually have a very serious conversation about it with them. So don't fall for the trap of, just because you got an offer that is an actual offer, as such. Usually you can get sucked into buying a lot of stuff that way. And I guess that's how the online world works. It's always about trying to get you to get hooked on something, either shopping or, signing up for something and whatnot. So be careful with the messages that you get, is I guess what I would say. And do your research before saying yes to anything. And you're allowed to ask any question that you want, especially if you've been approached, then you've got the avenue, or whether even if you're not, but you're having a conversation, and ask a million and one questions if need be, to feel reassured that it's a good offer and it's a great collaboration. Because once you put it out there, and once you've actually collaborated with this company, then it's out there for your followers to judge. In a sense, it's out there for people to link you to that. So ask yourself the question: do you want to be linked to a brand, or do you or not? So just because it's an offer doesn't mean it's a good offer, and just because it's in your it's popped up in your DM doesn't actually mean that it's a proper company. So you just have to be very mindful. Always being mindful of the I guess the offers that you get, and do your research, is what I would say.
Oh, I love what you said, and you can see all of your family values, that when you talk about your followers, you are very protective, that what you're putting out there is it's not just as much about resonating with you, that you don't want to put rubbish out there for them. That's a real other big kind of key distinction that I'm getting from you, which I love. Be prepared. Like, I can see that your Instagram account and your following, they're much, you even refer to them as my family, my community that's following me. When I'm looking at these collaborations, it's also, you're thinking, will this resonate, or will this be of value to them? Which is great, because the flip side to that is, even like a lot of businesses being approached by Instagrammers to get a free, I know from my ballooning journey, to get a free balloon flight, I'm calling themselves an influencer, and it's like, as a business, you have to go do your research. on both ways for, if you're growing a brand personally to gain influence and grow your own community, but also as a brand, taking on Sharin's approach, I think, is very, very important as well. That will this resonate? Is this of value, and is this something that would give value to my family? And that's essentially what you are building with your community online. Thank you so much to Lucky Cashmore, who's joined us. Such lovely words, both such inspirational women. And she's asked, how do you balance this work and life? What's your balance? I can see you've got incredible support from your partner when you are working, and I can resonate. I'm going to take that on. I sometimes feel it is like I finish off one part of the day, then I start on to the next. What are some of your some of your tips around the work life balance in managing everything that you do?
It's not easy. Yeah, I wish there was a magic formula that I was given in the beginning. I started working when my son was quite young, and that to me was heartbreaking. I just thought, oh my God, I had the mum guilt, and soon I found a reason as to why I did it for him. So that made me feel like I could do this. But going back to how I balance it, um, I don't sleep as much, so I don't sleep in like the 8-10 hours a day, and I'm very structured. You need to have a very good structure and plan. You may work 9 to 5, and you want to work on your passion at another time. You come home and the house is messy, and you need to make dinner, and you need to do all the mum things and all the wife things that you need to do, so you get that done, and then you put time, and eventually when you keep repeating the same routine, it actually becomes a habit. So that's how I've started on, and I've been able to balance it. In the beginning it wasn't easy. It was all new to me, and I'm just like, if I concentrate on this, I'm probably going to miss out on this. And I've just really understood that, I've got a certain amount of waking time during the day. And if I really want to do something, I need to put the time aside for it, whether it's, 10 o'clock at night or 9 o'clock at night when, Cyrus has gone to bed, and I can either watch TV or I can do something else. And that's how I do it. I've got very strict structure for myself in the beginning, and now it's almost like a habit. It's what I do now. That's how I've been able to balance it. Yeah.
And with your content, is that something like, how far in advance do you think about your content and what you're going to plan out and what you're going to focus on when you're sprinkling in any type of promotional type posts versus like just sharing good stuff with your community? Can you share any tips around your planning approach to your content and thinking ahead? How do you approach that?
I guess pre-COVID times, it was
Yeah.
a lot easier because we had events that I was invited to and places that I could go. So creating content was not hard. I almost had, I knew on a Saturday I would be going to an event, and that would mean I've got content, and then I would prep up my followers prior to it, and I would then in the middle put a few posts about my life or my daily, if I went shopping or things like that. It was easy. And now you do have to plan because there's not a lot going on, and you do have to stay current, but you can't be too ahead of time and not too behind. So I prep maybe 2 days or one day in advance because I like to be present. I don't like to post something that isn't current, and I like to be honest about what I post. So as you can see on my page lately, before it was a lot about photo shoots and about big brands and amazing events in Melbourne, and now it's become more about what I love in regards to fashion, who I think is a great blogger or a great designer in Melbourne, and I'm focusing more on things that are happening within our state because we seem to be so special right now in lockdown that I try to get the followers to engage in what's happening now. So I don't like to do too ahead in planning, especially right now. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, and I don't like to do an amazing photo shoot and start posting it in 10 weeks time, because again, that wouldn't be current. So I like to do it, yeah, 1 to 2 days in advance would be the time that I give myself.
Oh, so many people would be so happy to hear that because we talk a lot about the plan and having content in the can, but I guess for your when you're building a personal brand, what and something that's so niche like what you've done, it's great to be able to, I guess it's great to be able to do more on the fly. So you're encouraging it, you can see, to make it current and be in the moment. And I guess your copy comes out of you different, doesn't it? When you're there and you're feeling it, it comes out in your copy of the posts that you're producing. Whereas when you're planning something even a week or 2 weeks in advance, that that emotional connection might not be there, like you say, when it's more relevant and timely to the moment.
That's right. That's very true. And I guess this is the reason why, I guess the online platform, when you can create a community or a family for yourself, then they follow you every day. They know what you're up to. So if you put something random, they'll just be like, where did that come from? And that's
Yes.
when they start losing engagement. So you need to be honest and upfront, and be as current as you can. You don't have to get up and glam up every single morning, but it's just good to be as close to your daily life as possible.
And I love it that you also sprinkle your content of things that you're inspired by, because I share that a lot with businesses. It doesn't have to always be your stuff. Go and give credit where it's due. If you're inspired by someone or by something, whether it's product or service or insight, I love that you kind of sprinkle your content with that as well. And I think that's another great takeaway, to be able to, that's also a part of a collaboration, isn't it? I call that smart collaboration. You're giving a product a ping to say, I dig what you're doing.
It sure is. I mean, Melbourne based speaking, sometimes when you see a designer, for example, start sharing their life about how they've been at their peak, and then they've hit rock bottom, and then they're growing back up. As a person, I grew so much more respect for that brand and that designer. And I want to tell everyone on my page about them, and that's what I do. And I do give credit to a lot of people and a lot of companies that I truly believe in, because I think it's not just about a collaboration. It's about sharing what people should see and what people need to know about. And one of the great examples was, I before I became I started collaborating on a weekly basis, I guess, with Hair which is a hair vitamin. I was so in awe of the person who started this whole thing, which is Leila Milani, and she's in America, and she's quite an amazing. She's got an amazing life and an incredible following, and also she's very famous. And I never thought that me all the way in Australia would be able to reach someone like her, and because of being so true to her, and so true to what I believe in her, as not just an amazing businesswoman, but also as a mum, and as a someone I follow on social media. We now message, or through social media on a weekly basis. She shares me on her page almost every time I mention her. So to me, that's something, an online friendship, or I guess that I never would have dreamt of having, if I hadn't have started following her, and actually telling everyone that I know about her and her brand. So support can be two ways. You can give support and genuinely be happy for someone, and it can come back to you tenfold.
Oh, so good. And say for that particular relationship, did you reach out to her? How did that start, that beautiful relationship?
It was quite funny. I mean, I just given birth, And I very in the beginning of my blogging days, and we went on holidays to Queensland, and I took my Hedeman bottle with me so that I could, have my vitamins. And we were in a very pretty area, and my sister, being, my best friend, said, "Let me take a photo." And I took a photo, and I obviously tagged her into it because I started seeing great results. Especially I've just given birth, I was losing all my hair. And so I started seeing great results, and I posted it and I tagged her into it, and we forgot about it. And I remember it was 2 a.m. Australian time. My sister ran into our room and she goes, "Sharin, Layla Milani has mentioned you in her page." And to me back then, I was like, "Oh my God." I literally jumped up out of the bed and woke everyone up, and we started like checking what was going to happen after a mention. It was all new to me. And that's when it started. I think she started following my journey with my hair initially, and what it actually did. And then about a year later, I received an email from her company where they wanted me to become an ambassador of the brand, which I have been. And it's literally just started from that. So yeah, that's that story. But I am such a I'm a big fan of hers.
Oh, look, and these things, with my trainer hat on, when we're talking about Instagram, just that small little gesture, you could have taken that photo as, if like for novices, you can take a photo, but it was that ping they received. Not taking that next step to give the love via a tag means that the chances of that particular brand or company going through your feed to find their post that you've mentioned are very, very slim. Whereas taking, if there's something you love, person, product, or service, even if you've never met them before, magic happens when you use your tags, is what I'm getting from what you've just shared.
It sure does. I mean, recently, my most recent one was Kim Kardashian's Skims line. I tagged her because of I guess a controversial thing that was happening, and I genuinely believe in that. What she's created is great for pregnant women. I wish I had that when I was pregnant and I was using it. And I popped that on my page, telling the followers that this is what I believe in, because people are like, how did you lose weight after you gave birth and things like that. And I received a message from the company. I don't know if it was her, but from her company, telling me that, thanking me and telling me that it's great that we did that. And to me, I was like, oh my God, if I hadn't have even told my followers about what I genuinely believe, she wouldn't have read that, or it could have been a mention. With 100 million plus followers, that could have been a mention. So it's not every day that you do get the mention, but it could have been. So you never know unless you actually try.
Yes, yes. So when it came to that first moment, your turning point, that you went from having a passion project profile on Instagram to, okay, I've hit double digits and that finite, like I've been trying for months. I've got so many, like I can't get there to the 10K. I'm stuck. What was your turning point where, I mean, now you've shared with the hair, would that have been a turning point, or can you relate to any other journey that it was like, okay, I've hit something here. I'm glad I've pursued this.
This is so funny that you're asking me this, because my turning point and oh my God, I think I could have done something with this was actually with Maria.
Yay!
Maria was from, Atelier Jewelry. She was my first big collaboration, and it was big to me because she was so passionate about what I represented, and I was so passionate about what she was doing as a businesswoman, and with her, husband and family, and that was my first very big Instagram collaboration. And to this day, I always go back to it, and I sometimes even scroll through my page and have a look at it and remember the amazing time and that day, and the fact that she believed in me and reached out to me when she told me that they were looking at a lot of bloggers that they resonated with as a company to see if they would fit, and she said that they thought that I was a good fit for their company, and I, I'm just to this day very grateful that she gave me that opportunity, and that was my moment of belief, self belief, that hold on a second, maybe I can do this, and that's why I'm so I love them so much, and I, anytime there's ever anything I want to to have Atelier Jewelry involved, that was my moment, I guess.
It was really a great start. Like seeing it seems like your journeys really collided at the same time between Atelier and when you launched Melbourne Fashion Blogger. And I loved, Maria has had now some great experience in building her brand, and it's, attributes a lot of the growth to Instagram. But I remember being there, just like your sister, being there in the wings championing you. It was the same with Maria, seeing all of this come to life and seeing this beautiful relationship on and offline with the two of you. So that Glenn just popped up these Maria's interview where we go through starting a new business and the experience that they're delivering, because although it's a jewelry store, they really deliver a different experience than any other, I believe, and I think Sharon can attest to, in Melbourne. So that was, I mean, that's an excellent turning point for you. And if I can just, as we start to round off our chat here, which I'm just loving, and I could go into the evening, keep kind of talking, and before we know it, I think we could make up a whole new business together. In the beginning, launching anything, Instagram, business, pharmacy, what are some things that were holding you back that may inspire others that are stuck in that zone, that have got something bubbling but maybe getting held back at the moment?
I would, to be honest, I would say self-doubt. What makes me any different or any better? And what if it's already out there and I just make a bit of a fool out of myself by doing this or putting it out there? This was a big hurdle that I had to overcome. And to be honest, I still, when I think about skincare and putting my range out there, I think there's so many brands and companies that have millions and millions of dollars behind them that are doing this and are successful. So what would make my brand any different? If they've got that much and they're doing that well, what makes me any different? Why should I do this? I have those days still, and it takes me to a different place, and I go into deep thought, and I just think, is this right? But again, I come back to the whole thing about what makes it different and why I should do it, because there's other people, for example, with my skincare, that won't benefit from what's out there. So, and that's who I'm reaching out to, because I know that from everything that I've tried, there's that, something's missing. But there's that niche in the market. And if you find that you're the niche, or your idea is the niche, then no matter the self-doubt or the disbelief, just go for it, because the one thing and the only thing I think you would regret is actually not doing it. You'll never turn around and say, I can't believe I did that, and I gave that a go. No, you would say that if you missed out on it, in 10 years time, you look back and say, I could have done something big with that or great with that. And that's how I get over it, over that thought, I guess, and move on.
The best advice you've ever received?
Best advice I've ever received is a quote, I guess.
Yeah.
A quote my husband said to me. He said, we're starting to see a slight bit of success from the hard work, and he said, just remember, success is not owned. It's rented, and that rent is due every day. And so you need to keep pushing and being persistent, and keep going. Don't ever think it's you're there and that you can sit back. You're young, and that quote just keeps running through my head on a day where I think, maybe I don't want to do this anymore because I've done this now. But I always have it in the back of my mind that if I stop, then what happens? So it's a good advice, and it's a good quote that I live by.
Ooh, I haven't heard that one before. I love it. Keep us all in it. Success is not owned, it's rented, and you have to pay your dues every day to keep building the dream, the project, the business. That is a good one. So he's not just good at tech and making a live happen 5 seconds before we hit the live button. That's a really good one. I love it. A personal habit. I mean, I think we know a lot of your personal habits now, of just your undeniably commitment to what you do. But what's something on the daily that contributes to your success? One or three or five? What are some habits that you have?
I am, I think maybe too much, but I am so persistent. If I believe in something, if I want something, I persist to the nth degree to get it, or to make it happen. So persistence is I believe the key to a lot of things. Just persist. It does not matter if you get 50 doors shut to your face. You just have to keep persisting. I mean, the odds were against me going back when I just finished high school and wanted to get into pharmacy. It was just, everyone was like, dream on. But the way I got into pharmacy was already a story on its own. I flew overnight and went into an interview interstate, and I got in 2 days later. And that was because I persisted and did not give up. I applied. I did everything I could. So persist. You never know the person that will open that door, or will that open that folder, and that they could be there at the right time and the right place, and you have your dreams answered. So just persist.
The second P word here, you've got a passion. That's the cousin. You need persistence to go with it, with the passion to make it happen. An internet resource. So is there a resource that you use on the daily to help you manage your day? And whether it's online or offline, that you could share with us that you couldn't live without.
You can use it I think at the website as well, but I use an app called Trello, Trello, and this app organizes me and my life and my day, and things that I'm going to do, things that I'm doing, things that I've done, things that I am waiting on happening. It does it for me, and I can also share this with the people that I'm waiting for, or meeting with, or I have appointments with, and things like that. It's such a good app or an online resource that you can use. So it's my brain diary. I would refer to it. It's really good. So that's what I would recommend.
Love it. Trello. Uh, any book that you've read that's made a lasting impression on you that to share with us? Is there any book that you love that you could attribute insights and gold nuggets that you could share?
I guess, everyone's probably thinking as if she has any more time on her hands to
I
read
was
the book.
just about to say that, but then I thought I'll ask it anyway.
And when I guess the last book I read, and it was quite some time ago, was Becoming Michelle Obama. I was very interested in, how it all happened. I don't read a lot of books, right now. I don't have the time, to be honest, but I did pick up that book, and I read that, and I was so interested to see her perspective and side on, becoming First Lady, and how that, how she felt, and what it was like to be her. And little did I know that prior to that, she was an executive in a company. She's a mom, a devoted wife. She juggled it all, and then she transitioned into the White House, which to me was incredible. The odds were against them, he was the first black president and the first black first lady, and that on its own was so inspiring to me. And I guess I just wanted to see how she did it all. And she was, throughout their time, she was so loved, and to this day she still is. And so many young girls looked up to her, and so do I. I look up to her, and that's the book I read, and I loved it. So I
Oh.
wish more influential women could come out and share their stories so that I would have more books to read.
Oh, look, you have your own. I think there's a becoming of your version in there for sure. Your favorite destination or your favorite idea of a holiday, and where are you looking forward to most going to next as soon as you are able to?
I would say I would go back to Vietnam in a heartbeat. The
Mm.
place is incredible. Oh, we went to an island called Phu Quoc Island, and not only is it a beautiful, untouched, place, but it's also the people are so genuine and kind, and they're so when I think about my grandparents 20, 30 years ago, I feel like I go back to where it's all so innocent, and the beauty is just something I went there, and as soon as I got there, I said I wish I could retire in Vietnam. So
Wow.
yeah, I would highly recommend everyone to have a look at Vietnam, and also that particular island, Phu Quoc, which is very small, tiny, but it's a piece of paradise.
Fuquak, a piece of paradise. Love it. There
Yeah,
you go. It's a
yeah.
holiday inspiration for us as we grow our wish list for once we can get on a jet plane and take a little break for those of us that are in Melbourne. Thank you so much. I've taken so many key insights. I think you've inspired many today that have joined us live. Thank you to our live listeners, and thank you to our Tourism Hub podcast listeners. So much that about doing business with people when you're doing any influencer marketing. I think just any marketing or business relations, to always remember that it's a person that you're dealing with. Took away, be true to who you are. If you want to follow suit and you're inspired to pursue your passion product and your side hustle, there's something bubbling inside you. Be authentic to who you are. We also something that I really has popped to me that I need to share is really taking a platform like Instagram and be your own media. This is more about just choosing yourself. You can see, sure, I mean, how many of the photos are done professionally? I can see that you've just put in the hard work to do this. A lot of it is done by yourself. Would you agree to that? Like, because I think for some people, or even for small businesses, they think that they need a big budget. I need to get professional photos or video, and there's a place for professionalism. I can see you. Could you just, before we finish up, it's bubbling. I'm like, I have to say something about this. Just your learning curve and how to take good photos or video, and how much of it is done by you, and how much you've brought in an external support.
Not much. 90% of it is 95% of it is just me. And 5% of it, I've been lucky to have those photo shoots and collaborate with companies that do bring in the professional photographers. But it's all me. I carry around my phone, and sometimes if I'm lucky, I take around my selfie, like my son calls it, and I stick my phone on and I start taking the photos. So it doesn't need to always be professional. It just needs to resonate with who you are on a social platform, and that's to be real and be you.
It's hashtag be you and choose yourself. It really is. I love it so much. You'll regret more not doing it than you will actually going ahead, facing the fear, facing the self-doubt, and know with passion comes persistence. You have to be persistent in what you're doing, and drop the mic on that quote that success is not owned, it's rented. Just I think that's brilliant, and we need to pay our dues every day through work. to continue the success. So we can't become complacent in what we're doing, particularly during these times. If there's something that we've all been able to draw on through the COVID experience, who would have thought this year would have been what it is? That we have to keep looking at things differently, trying new things and experimenting new ways to connect. I'm so grateful to you. Thank you for sharing all of your beauty and your insights. It was so much more than just influencer marketing today, and I'm so, so grateful. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much for having me. It was what an opportunity, and I look forward to doing more of these podcasts with you. And I'm so grateful that I got to share a bit of my story, and I hope that I've been able to inspire at least one person to go after what they believe in and they love.
Oh, no question. There's no hope. It will. It will. Starting with me. I'm the first, and it will pebble in the pond. There will be many more. And for you, to everyone that's watched us live, to everybody that is watching us on the recording, that is sitting there ready for you to devour and get a notepad and pen out to make a plan for your excellence and your passion project, side hustle, however you want to look at it. The more you can diversify, the more wonderful people you will attract, and the more opportunities will become available for you to collaborate online through simple things like using a tag, and of course offline when we can come together face to face. Thank you again for listening to another wonderful episode of Tourism Hub podcast. Until next time, my friends, be excellent today and every single day. You've got this. Thanks again for joining us on the Tourism Hub podcast. If you found this podcast valuable, it will mean the world to give us a review on Apple iTunes. We're also live here every Saturday at 2 p.m. across all the Institute of Excellence Facebook and YouTube channels. And you are all invited. Be excellent, and don't forget, we also have courses available at instituteofexcellence.com to help you and your small business greatness.